Alright, here we go. Here we go. Hey, I'm Eric. I'm making a game. That game is called the Godkiller. Maybe you are the Godkiller in this game. Or maybe you're just somebody who everybody thinks is out to kill God. And you just really just have a few minor disagreements that have been blown out of proportion. Who knows? Until you actually play the game, until you get deep into the story. Let's demo. What the heck is this thing even? Hit the play button. Let's see what we got. This is a junky little test level. It shows the new element that I finished up last night. Triumphantly finished up this element. This thing is called an altar. It's spinning around faster when I get closer to it. This yellow thing, this yellow and white and red thing right here. Okay. It's got a red color, and red is a color I reserve for things that are in the story godly. The source of their power is just a little bit closer to God in this story, or has some sort of feature or amenity that is available to God and certain other creatures that are in a certain class that is not quite explained to begin with, but M is somehow in this class, this character you're controlling. Now she happens to walk into the altar. She dies. Everything dies that gets pushed into the altar. But there's a side effect that's kind of interesting. So you notice there's many A blocks on this screen. If I destroy this A block that's right next to me by pushing it east onto the altar, it destroyed all of the A blocks and the whole level. And they were reborn on block pads. Because nothing in this game ever dies. It just gets reborn again. That's the world that we're in. Nothing dies. Everything. Well, I mean, it dies, but it's reborn immediately. So yeah. I spent way too much time just replaying that effect. I just enjoy watching all those bolts of lightning. And I coded that all from scratch, so I'm just a tiny bit proud. I did write an effect like this 25 years ago. I actually went and looked at the code for it last night. It's for a game called Drawed, and when you strike these metal orbs in the game with your sword, there's a two-dimensional version of this lightning effect. And it uses close to the same algorithm as this one I wrote 25 years later. It's just this one is a little more refined and it works in 3 dimensions. And it's supported by features like bloom, which makes that really bright halo around the emitting light. Okay, so today I'm going to funny how things all have a different verb for it. I'm going to design the first level that uses the altar element. It will be a level that's focused on puzzles around using the altar. And all of this game element creation with the altar came from another level I wrote that had a problem with it, and that you could get certain blocks stuck and not have a way to get them back into play without restarting the level. And I don't want people to restart the level. So I invented the altar to give you some way to just destroy those blocks that got put in a bad spot and get them back into play for you. And I don't want the element to be here just for that one level. I want it to be a proper game element that's used across multiple levels. So today I'm going to write the first of maybe 3 levels that use the altar. The exact number I write kind of depends on like how many unique puzzles I think I can make using the same game element. On other levels, it won't be. On some levels it appears on, it won't be part of the puzzle so much as just kind of a reset switch of sorts, where you can get the puzzle back to a solvable state without restarting it altogether. Okay. Similarly, these spikes, these pop-up spikes that I've had in for about a week, I invented them to solve another problem in level design about how I wanted some blocks to be able to go to a certain location but not have you follow behind them. So I can push the blocks across those pop-up spikes, but if I go across them, spikes pop up, I die. So this is not a point in the game creation where I want to add a lot of game elements, but I saw some value. These didn't take too long to add, and I think the game will benefit from them a lot. So let's make this new level. Oh. I'll pick some other scene to copy from as a starting point. The old Spanish rink. I think this is actually an early version of that same level. Okay, this one's called the Ice Axles. Let me go to a different one, actually. Or, okay, I can save this one as... save as... What do I want to call this level? Let's call it Alter Intro. And that's the kind of level name that I'm likely to rename later on. Okay, ice axles can be deleted. Let me just do that little bit of housekeeping now. Ice axles goes there. There's two other files. Assets, what's it? Streaming assets, is that what it's called? Oh, assets, streaming assets, level thumbs. It was ice axles. Delete that. Preprocess. Okay. Kind of curious what these look like. Let me open this real quick. Okay. So this is some serialization format. Is this really just like tab delimited? I can fill weird control characters in this. I don't know. It's just a binary file. Just surprised me that it was so large, so I was kind of curious why so large. I think it's just the serialization format. Is probably a little bit verbose. Okay, so let's see. Back to work. This is called alter intro, and I will delete most of this stuff. Okay, so I'm thinking about the best way to do this. Let me write out some of my thoughts for this level. Also, this is a nice place to do a git commit. Just close everything. Gives me a nice feeling every once in a while. Just close all my tabs. Okay, this new alter level. Okay, some different layout ideas. A series of rooms. Increasing complexity. Alter in first room. You know, I type it out and I want to do it. It's like I was gonna... Geronimo, good to see you. Oh, how's it going for you in Hungary? Yeah, it's funny. Yeah, I was gonna like compare different ideas in my head about how to make this level, and cool. I think the first idea, when I typed it out, it seems clear to me that's what I want to do, because I can picture it. So there'll be an altar in the first room. The lockdown, it's not bad, but it's kind of staying the same for a long time, and it feels like this is just the normal way things are. Forever. You know, that's kind of how it feels like to me. We'll probably go back and forth between having a little bit of progress and people loosening up, and then there's another spike in cases, and then we tighten down again. Probably go back and forth like that for years. That's how it feels to me. I don't know, though. I don't know the future. Maybe the new vaccines are going to be really good. I think there is a way you could get through the whole thing a lot better with just cheap tests that everybody has. There are some good cheap tests that only cost like a few bucks. They just don't have great reliability, but they would be enough to probably get the amount that the disease, that the virus spreads, to be reduced enough that there would be no growth in cases if they would put these cheap tests everywhere. So I'm kind of irritated because it feels like I go to work, I do my job, and I do my job well. And there's a whole bunch of other people that are sort of in charge of doing this other thing. They're not doing their job well. I've done a terrible job, so I get upset about it. You could say, well, you don't know anything about it. You're not a virologist. That's fine, but again, I do my job just fine, and I expect other people to do their job well, especially when it's something that affects us all. I feel like if I went to school and I became a virologist and I got into the same position as these other people, I would just do like 10 times better than they did. These political idiots. So, anyways, it's a sore point with me. But the game is going well. I like the game. The game makes me happy. Alright, so let's start putting this together. The first room should be really super easy. The player's never seen an altar before, so I just want them to understand what the altar does. Making a new level that uses a new game element. And the game element is called an altar. And the way it works is that anything that you put on it, it destroys every other matching object of that type. So here's the altar. Drop it down there. This room needs to stay real simple. Then pull this up a bit. Let's have this be one of the levels where M starts facing a different direction. Just for variety's sake, we'll have her face. What is that? That's east. Okay, she'll face east. No. Yeah. Maybe our schedules aren't that good for being on at the same time. So I just got off my day job work, and I always start up on the weekdays, Monday through Friday around this time. On the weekends I get up earlier though. Or I should say I get up at the same time, but I start working earlier. Okay. So I want the altar to be a little closer to the door because that's going to allow the player to see the result of the action. Okay, so then we go put a block over here. Whoa, What's that? What am I looking at? Huh, weird. Okay. Ugh, God, I hate glitchy stuff like that. For a little bit, it was like showing missing parts of the game object. Really annoying. Okay. Okay, so there'll be some word on the first door. Maybe I'll just spell the word first. Let's try that to start. Okay, so then we'll say the door, or gate south. Come on. There we go. Okay, let's make the door 7 high. So we'll give it a little space at the bottom. T. S. R. Fill in the sides. An idea will be that you need not to spell the word on the door, but to disrupt a formation of blocks that spell the word so that that door will open. Okay, so that means that formation needs to be somewhere nearby. Okay, where's the best place to show this clearly? If you're here, the altars may be a little far away. I want the player to see the result of their action, so let's move this pad a little closer. Okay, so then I'll put blocks here to spell first. And the presence of these blocks will make the door to the north be closed initially. Okay, now normally you'd be able to just push these out of the way, but I can make it so you can't do that. Oh, I know what I could do. Ah! I think what I want to do is put them inside of a glass room. Yeah, that's what I want. Okay, so we'll go with a wall here. Maybe even, let's tuck them up in the corner. Okay, let's go ball, ball, ball. I think you'll still be able to see everything. Oh, come on. Yeah, maybe it might be fun to have the top of this thing be something you can come back to. Let's do that. So I'll put a floor on top of it, meaning it'll be a space you'll be able to get back to eventually and walk on top of. Okay. And inside of here it should just be glass. This reminds me of magic tricks. It has to be really clear that you can't do anything to get inside of it. So like if there's a magician and the magician says, is there any way that we could get a block outside of this glass box? And you hand it to an audience member, the audience member should say, no, there's definitely no way you could do it. So I want to be very clear with this. So to that end, maybe what I'll do is make like a box, like just a little bit smaller, a little bit easier to see what's going on with it. F-I-R-S-T, over one more. Okay. I have to make it a little bit different because I've got a rule that any square that you see, that you can't actually walk on top of, it should be a wall square. So I need to start out with my base as a wall square. this will probably look better if I raise it up. Let's throw in floor. Feels a little crowded here now. Let's do this guy up this way. Maybe over here. Then we'll move this over a bit. I have to keep on redoing this as I change my layout. Okay, so 4 and 4. Let's space it a little bit more on the sides. I'm a little bit bothered by the altar being blue instead of red. I thought I had adjusted that. Okay, let's go into the altar real quick. What's going on with that? So that says red light. Where's this blue coming from? Yeah, that should be all good. Why are you blue? Who's being blue? Maybe I've got a light dropped in the middle of it. Yeah, it's just bizarre. Bugging me a little bit. Alright, so if I hide the altar, no blue light. If I hide the altar base, there is blue light. If I hide the offset, okay, that gets rid of the blue light. So how is the red light blue? I don't know. I'll hit play at some point. I'll see what happens. All right, I'll come back to that. Two, three, four, five. Okay, so this first letter that I delete, I don't want it to appear in the other ones. Let's do, let's see, first, second, third. F will not be part of it, so let's do F. F will only be in the first word. Let me just check the layout of this whole thing before I case it up a little bit better. Okay. Save it again. Play. Let's try it out. Clear that. Why the fuck are you blue? I did not get that. Okay. That should work. Let me just try this. I I'm really upset by it being blue. Let's go look at main. Shared materials. Red light. What the hell? So I go here. That's red, as it should be. Maybe it's like something with the rendering. Ambient colors messing it up, maybe. It's kind of interesting to have it be really bright, but anyways, let's put it down to something normal, neutral. It's not, does not seem to be affecting it. Let's turn off the fog. Well, there, it went red. Okay. Whew. Okay, maybe the fog was messing it up. I don't know. Alright, and get our windows in. Oh shit, just renaming it makes that big import asset thing. Alright, but I thought I might rename it to something shorter so I can see the names a little more easily. Okay. So up here, I want the frame to continue. I'll have a window on top as well. That's screwy. What's that about? Oh. Do not like that. Oh, God. What is the deal with this? Okay, get rid of you, I guess. Okay. That's terrible. I'm gonna have to restart Unity. Something's fucked. Oh man, Pro Builder, so many bugs in it. Okay, now it's fixed. Now the sides are lined up. They're lining up right over here. Okay, good. I did not know what the problem was there. This should be snapped. There we go. Let's see, what version? It is 2019-4.13F1. I'm staying on LTS for 2019. At some point, they'll probably do a 2020 LTS, and I'll switch over to that. And it'll be painful when I do it. Okay, Windows North South comes down here. Another instance there. Then I need a new kind of window that goes here. So that goes flat. I'll start with this guy and then I'll modify it. What do I want to call this? We'll call it let's call it Moonlight. Okay, then have it snap on 0.2, I think is what I need. I guess it'd be kind of fun to let the player walk on top of windows too. I'll have to remember to make some levels that are like that. Okay, so then let's prefab this. All right. Okay, so there's the first. Let me test out, make sure it's still really clear visually. This first room, oh, I gotta remember to take out that starting of those commands. This first room can't have much in it. The player just has to figure out how the altar works. A little bit. How about you? Are you a political person? Okay, so you could see the F. Yeah, I have no idea about Hungarian politics, I'll say that. Completely ignorant. Like most Americans, we only think about our own country and nothing else besides. Okay. Wait a minute, hold on. Let me just say. Let me learn about this a little bit. Hungarian Prime Minister. Oh, Viktor Orban, that's right. Okay. Viktor Orban, Trump. Yeah. So I'm not a fan of Trump at all, you know. I also feel like he's not as powerful as people made him out to be in the United States. I think he's kind of a loser, to be honest. I mean, now it's really easy to say it because he just lost the election, and his more recent moves are kind of desperate and made him look foolish. But he's just not a very skillful person at wielding power. He's very good at manipulating opinion amongst his base. He's very good at getting the press to cover him. He's good at getting people to waste time. He get his enemies at wasting time on like distractions and things that really don't matter that much. So he has a certain skill and talent, but he's just terrible at figuring out how to do anything. And I think we're lucky. We're lucky that he wasn't good at getting things done. Some of the things he wanted to get done, at least in his rhetoric when he started out on his campaign, might have actually been good things. But I don't think he was ever that committed to, like negotiating better trade deals or getting corruption out of government. I don't think he ever was committed to that. Like, he brought all kinds of cronies and incompetent people into the administration. So I never had a lot of hope for him. I never liked listening to him. I'm glad he lost. That said, I don't like Biden either. I don't like that administration. I think it's going to be just another tool of the elites. So politics in the U.S., I'm not happy. All right, so first is fine. Okay, let's move on to room 2. Maybe would it look better if I brought this ceiling down a little bit? Let me take one more look at that. Oh, I gotta remember to take out that part at the beginning. Okay. Yeah, it would be clearer. Maybe if I went down 1 square, because you'd be able to see the top of the blocks here. All right, let me try that. First off, let's take out the command playback, because that's kind of silly. Okay. Yeah, that's better. So you can look at it, you can say, how do I get in there? What can I do with it? Nothing. You can't get in there. You can't do anything with it. You can take the F, you can push on the altar. Well, first you might try stepping on it, and you die. Then you can try do the block. I think that gives you information. I think that gives you enough to figure it out, how it works. Okay, so you got 2 F blocks from that. So the next room, what do I want in there? That's a good question. That's a good question. Let me look at Hungary for a second, get a little more context. Hungary. How are prime ministers elected? Okay, so your PM in Hungary, it's going to be just nominated by the president and formally elected by the National Assembly. It looks like kind of a typical parliamentary thing where, you know, just the ruling government inside of the parliament would pick the prime minister. That seems typical. Maybe that's worse or better depending on how you look at it than what the US does. Let's see how many parties in Hungarian parliament? Checkers. Oh yeah, you got a whole bunch of parties. I like the name of this party. Politics can be different. It's a good party name. Oh, Hungarian two-tailed dog party. That's an awesome name. It might be a terrible party, but it has a good name. Then you got the family party. Nice. Fit and healthy Hungary. So people worry about fitness. Okay. So you know your politics better than me, but it just feels like, whichever parties are doing well in your parliament, they'll pick the prime minister. In the U.S., we have a primary system, but it's rigged, and people are starting to figure out how rigged it is. But so there's a initial election, which we call the primary, and if people have they have enough okay, this is complicated. It's complicated, and I'm also trying to remember it. Okay, so each party in the U.S. has its own primary. They have their own primary system, and they run it by their own rules, which is weird. So the Republican Party, which, one of two parties in the U.S., Republican Party, Democratic Party. Republican Party, they have their own way of picking a candidate, and the Democratic Party has their own way of picking a candidate. And it's possible for other parties besides those two to participate in the overall election, but the two parties that have any kind of power at all are just the Republican and Democratic Party. And the system is rigged to keep other parties from getting stronger. So there's a bit of a show. While they act like, there could be anybody could be the candidate for the Democratic or the Republican Party. What happens is a bunch of people at the beginning will meet the minimum criteria for being a candidate, which isn't that large. And then the media kind of keeps out anybody they don't think should be in there. So it's entirely possible for somebody to be a pretty reasonable candidate that has popular support, but the media will arrange things such that that candidate gets less time. They're seen as not likely to ever win. So an example of that is Andrew Yang, who the media at different times would keep him out of the camera. They would act like he was foolish, and they basically did their own campaign to keep Andrew Yang and other candidates out of the possible contenders. So by the time that we actually get to a primary elections result, the number of options will always have been shrunk down to people that the larger oligarchy, which is made up of all kinds of interests, the military, large corporations, big finance, they will be candidates that are acceptable to that oligarchy. And we rarely get anybody that breaks through that. So there's some people like Trump. Trump broke through it. Let's be honest. The Republican Party was completely surprised by him. He managed somehow to get elected, and that was not in their plan. So he broke through. Bernie made a pretty good try, Bernie Sanders. I think, to some extent, the media was biased against him, and that brought him down, but also the country may not have been ready for him as well. Going farther back, there was some people like Ross Perot who had a pretty decent third-party challenge. They actually changed the rules for allowing people to be shown inside of presidential debates because of Ross Perot. They didn't want a third party to gain as much power as Ross Perot's party did. So it's an illusion of choice. The whole American system, it's an illusion of choice. They pretend that anybody could be the president, and they carefully make it so that only certain acceptable candidates ever become a president. Yeah, and somebody like Orban, I don't know what his story is. I don't know. But you can imagine situations where, once you get in power, you're able to reinforce the mechanisms that keep you in power. So it happens all the time. I don't know what Orban may or may not have done, but yeah, it happens all the time. All right, so this will be the second room. All right, let's make it a little more interesting than the first room. Yeah, and your question is right, though. Why are the available options what they are? That's the trick. One, two, three, four. 1, 2, 3. 4, 1, 2, 3. Okay, cool. Okay. That should be... Let's see, what did he say? Obama, Hungary. 2 days ago. Yeah. Hungary Today is the publication. I wanted to like Obama. I really did. I do like him at kind of like a personal level, but he had his problems too. Orban, strongman. Yeah, that's kind of like... I've heard Trump and Orban compared as being similar types of leaders. Make another door over here. This will be second. Trying to think, what am I doing in this room that's different than the last? It's bigger. Don't have a puzzle idea yet, if I'm honest with myself. Okay. There is a thing that if you can just get one block south down to here, you can open up the door. So I could put some different blocks in here. That's good. They should team up with the two-tailed dog party. That's where you get, you know, the dog energy. There's a phrase with coalition governments that always confuses Americans. There'll be a headline you read and it says, the government collapsed in Hungary, or in some place that has a parliament system. And to us, that sounds like the entire government just stopped working, and like it's total revolution. But usually, it just means that the coalition in the parliament that was in power is no longer in power. I think that's what it means. But it always sounds really, really terrible when we hear it. Like your entire civilization is about ready to fall apart. Let's see. Oh, the opposition coalition? You don't think it'll work? Yeah. Yeah, that's an interesting thing that like Americans don't really see it. The whole coalition structure inside of parliaments. Like you never hear about two parties teaming up in the U.S. because one, there's just two parties that count, and they're just designed to, these days more than ever, to never be on the same side of anything ever. So it's like, who do you team up with to go against the other party? Nobody. There's only like factions inside of one party. But both of our two parties, they vote what's called the party line. They vote the way that their leadership tells them to vote. There's very little deviance from that. So at least with the parliamentary system, it seems like there's more options for shaking things up. Okay, so what is the puzzle here? We could make it so there's a bunch of blocks and only some of them will you be able to get south to open the door. It's not. I agree. Let's say the goal is to get C down here. Wow. Well, I would say, without knowing much about your country, if you've got the same prime minister in power for 15 years, there's something wrong. There's something wrong with the system. I mean, unless everyone just loves him and he's doing such a good job according to almost everybody. But I'm guessing that's not the case. So there's probably something wrong. Just like I look at our system and I can find all kinds of reasons why it's wrong. But one person in power for 15 years, that's a red flag. I don't like to see like one party in power for 15 years. That hasn't happened in the US in a while. But it does switch back and forth between the two parties. I think it's usually the case that the president is not the same party as Congress, which is the opposite of a parliamentary system, where your prime minister is basically selected by the party in power in your parliament, or the government, coalition government in power. In the U.S., it tends to be the opposite. That it doesn't have to be this way, but the president usually is not the same party as the lawmakers, the legislature. I think, yeah. Spending money on soccer instead of healthcare. Yeah. Yeah, that one bugs me too. Not Hungary, but just public money being spent on sports. Don't like it. I do not like it. It goes back to Roman times when they built the Colosseum and they had gladiator fights in it, and they would use it. Yeah, they keep building stadiums. It's about power. It's about power. That's a sad thought. Like you like a sport, like maybe you're really into soccer, but just like religion, athletics they're co-opted. They're used by governments and other people to keep people in control. In my city, Seattle, there was a stadium, and it was kind of old. There were some tiles that fell down from the ceiling. But it was like a whole giant friggin' sports stadium, you know? You have baseball and football and soccer inside of it all the time. And they lied. They said that it'll cost way more to fix the stadium than it will to just build a brand new one. I don't believe it. They always like to say that. They like to make the case, let's just make a new stadium. What they really meant, or what the truth was that the people running the sports, the companies that were running it, felt that they could make more money if they would build a new stadium, because it would be more attractive, more fans would come out. And that would be fine, except they used public money to build that new stadium instead of that company figuring out, okay, we could make more money if we have a nicer stadium, so therefore we will pay for there to be a new stadium. No, what they did, like all sports stadiums in the U.S. is they forced the people in the city to pay for this thing that maybe some of them liked, but it was really just businesses stealing money from people. That's all it is. And so people that like sports, they're like, oh yeah, let's get a new stadium. And people that don't give a shit about sports are like, could you spend that money on schools, healthcare, anything else, or just don't take that extra money and tax us less. But they use the power of the vote, the power of taxation in the state to collect that money and give it to corporations. All right. So man, you keep riling me up. You keep making me angry. So much to be angry about. Okay, so second. Someplace here there has to be the word second spelled. I won't make such a big space for it here. I'll just put it someplace kind of neat and tidy. In fact, we can say, let's put it beside the actual door. Yeah, that's cool. Or if we keep talking, you know, we might both get really angry and go out and start a revolution. And I don't know. Who knows what would happen? Let's see. There's this guy named Geronimo, at least he went by that on the internet, and he strangled Viktor Orban in an elevator. Civil War. Let's see. So I want to put an edge loop in here so I can start some new extrusion there. All right, buddy. Enjoy the rest of your night. Have some good sleep. I'll catch you later. Yeah. Okay, that's a second. Alright, so there's the thing to break. Let's put the C block right in the middle. Alright, so I could make it so that it seems like all you gotta do is push it south, and then, oh, it's fine. It's gonna go right to the altar. But all you gotta do to disrupt that is just throw a pillar right in the middle. If I did that, then you go bam, bam, can't get it through. Let me see, could I, if the player brings the F blocks up north, could they get it out of here? Let me just play with it, see what I can actually do. I suspect it's a little too hard. Stupid pre-prog. Okay, what's there? No game object found in editor? What are you talking about? Oh, it said that because I tried to pre-process while I was playing. Okay, so then you come through here. Second. How do I get second, you say? Push the C south. That's not really any good. Can I get F into the other room? I don't think I can. There. Okay, I don't think this is something that's solvable yet. I don't see any clever thing I can do to get it down there. How should I make it solvable? I could probably make it so the F pieces can go north, which could be interesting. I could create another piece, an X piece, which you can destroy, and then suddenly you'll get a ton of blocks. Maybe enough to use to get the C down. That could be interesting. Let me try that. X block over here. So then you get that over there. Let me think, how many X blocks should I have to get the C block down? It's really to get the C block into this middle space. If I had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, that would be enough. So let me just go ahead, I'll put over here in this hidden area uh, 5 X blocks. It makes better effects though if I have the X blocks spread all over. So if you're here and you knock the X block south, it'll go right into the altar. But I'd like to see all those bolts. So in order to see them well, let's move these guys, these secret guys over here. And here. Okay. So how many total I want? I want 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I've got 1 here, so I want 5 more. So we'll go bam, bam, bam. I thought this was gonna work. It's not gonna work. You know what? I don't need that many. So I can just bring it down here. Okay, so I only need 2 X's, or 3 total, not 5. So for that, let's just get rid of a bunch of these. 3 total. Let's try this out again. Okay. And since I'm trying to be less mysterious, I think I'm better served if I put the X's up over here so the player can see where they're coming from. Okay. I think let's move this X a little further away. Kind of like that, because you can take it and just push it down there if you want, but that's a red herring. You really just need to destroy it. Okay. Alright, that's a reasonable puzzle, not too hard, pretty good for the level exit, and I'll reserve third to be the really tricky one, so let's keep going with that. Take these guys back off. stairs. I'm going to have a nice ornamental type of a stair going up. Whoops. Okay, so if anybody is lurking right now, I'm just gonna let you know that maybe about 2 minutes or something, I'm gonna stop and continue working off stream. So I guess I'm saying my goodbyes now. I think I'll finish up making this little exit thing, and then I'll continue work off stream. Because all that talk about politics with Geronimo made me want to listen to some podcasts. And I can't really listen to podcasts on the stream, because when I when I export these to YouTube, YouTube will penalize me in various ways for carrying content that's copyrighted by somebody else. And actually, from a moral standpoint, I don't really want to be broadcasting someone else's work without their permission. So this is it right here. I'm going to go off stream. If anybody else is on, I hope you're having a good night, and I hope things go well for you. I will catch you later. Stopping the stream.